driver of the number 42 Kleenex Chevrolet. Kyle, I understand you and Bullseye actually made a couple of visits to local elementary schools yesterday for the track speeding to read program and then opened up the dog park this morning. Talk about your activities before this race weekend.
Yeah, it was cool. We got to go to, like you said, a couple of local elementary schools yesterday. And, they've been in the schools. They've been doing the speeding to read program, and the children who've read the most books and stuff. We gave them backpacks and Target gift cards and other gifts, and they also donated I think 200 books to each school, which is twice as many books as the libraries that those schools had already had, and so that was really fun to be a part of and have Bullseye there with us. And then this morning, we opened up the dog park that's off the backstretch over by the little like Legends track over there. So fun to get to do that. A lot of us drivers and fans and everybody that comes to the races each weekend brings their pets, but don't really have any place to take the pets to go play. So having a designated dog park is fun for us, and the animals definitely love it.
All right, we'll go ahead and open it up to questions. Please state your name and affiliation. We'll start over here with Mark.
Mark Garrow, PRN. Kyle, how much do drivers like yourself that are not in the chase want to get to victory lane and just kind of add a twist to how everybody makes the championship for?
Well, I think everybody wants to make the victory lane every week. But yeah, we don't try any harder, any less hard. That we're not in the chase. We still try and go out there every week and do what we can to win. So Texas in the past has been a pretty good track for me. I've had speed there or here each time I come. But yeah, I just gotta keep working hard to get the win.
All right, additional questions for Kyle. We'll go to Daniel and then up to Brant.
Daniel McFadden, NBC Sports. There's only we only have 3 races left in Tony Stewart's Sprint Cup career. I was wondering, what do you remember about meeting him for the first time, and what is your quintessential memory of racing against him over these last 3 seasons?
Well, I mean, I've gotten Tony's autograph and stuff as when I was really young at like USAC races and stuff like that. But probably I don't really remember the first time where he met me and actually knew who I was. Probably maybe it was Eldora when I won the 4-crown. There was the first time I really got to like meet Tony and talk to him. Like I said, I'd gotten his autograph a handful of times at other races, but that was a cool day, sweeping the 4-crown at his racetrack. And then the last handful of years of me getting to race with him has been pretty fun. He's taught me a lot during practice sessions of getting mad at me, but yeah, it's been cool, and I'm excited to see what he does with the rest of his racing career. He's retiring from NASCAR, but he's definitely not going to retire racing. He's going to probably race a lot more. So I'm looking forward to seeing him do that and making an even bigger impact on open wheel racing.
All right, we'll go to Brant James.
Brant James, USA Today Sports. As someone who's racing, working around the guys who are still title eligible, this late in the season, how do you handicap that Final Four, and who do you maybe have a feeling that going to win this thing?
Yeah, it's I don't know. The final 8. Everybody in the final 8 here is extremely good. I think Jimmy has definitely shown that he's got the speed to do it. Hendrick, they've made whatever they've found something really big leading up to the chase. All their cars have been fast now each and every week. The Gibbs guys, they've shown speed for the last 2 years now, so they're all favorites. But I would like to see a Chevy guy win. So Jimmy or Harvick or Kurt Busch, if any of those guys could win, that'd be pretty cool.
All right, and we'll finish up over here with Jim Utter.
Jim Hunter, motorsport.com. Obviously, as you said earlier, you want to win races here towards the end of the year. You can still finish as high as 5th in points. But how much effort do you think is already underway at Chip Ganassi Racing, focusing on next season?
Well, I think efforts for next season started a while back. We're always trying to look to the future and get better. And I think when NASCAR came out, the set in stone rules changes for next year, you can really get to work on your stuff for next year. So I'm sure they've been to the wind tunnel quite a bit. I've been so busy lately that I haven't really got to go to the shop much and find out what kind of stuff they've been doing. And I'd really, that kind of stuff I don't pay too much attention to anyways. I just kind of get in and drive and hope the car's fast. But every team works really hard, when it comes down to the last couple months of the season to prepare for next year.
All right, thanks for joining us, Kyle, and
Thank
best
you.
of luck this weekend.
Cool.
We are now joined by Matt Kenseth, driver of the number 20 DeWalt FlexVolt Toyota. Matt, you're looking for a spot in the Championship 4 and have had quite a bit of success here at Texas. Talk about the opportunity.
I'd say recent history, we haven't ran, terrific here, but Kyle won in the spring. Thought we could ran 4th or 5th and had some trouble on a pit stop or something, and ended up a little bit farther toward the back. But it's been a good track. I always like coming here to Texas, and we had a good race last weekend. We had a real competitive car last weekend. Thought we had a good enough car to win, and things didn't work out for us. So hopefully we'll have that speed again this weekend, and we can be somewhere in the mix. And if we don't get a win, hopefully we can get a good finish and stay alive.
All right, we'll go ahead and open it up to questions. We'll start with Claire and then go to Mark.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Do you guys have discussions at Joe Gibbs Racing this week? Kyle, after the race, was talking about the teamwork and you guys working together. What's the thought and the plan? And was there a conversation about it this week or no?
I think our teamwork at Joe Gibbs Racing is second to none. I've had a lot of great teammates, never any better than what I have right now. That's for sure. So, everybody's really, really competitive. We all want to win. Our goal was to have all four cars at Homestead, and now there's only 3 spots left. So, every week we talk about what we can do to help each other and make things better. But we all still realize also when they drop the green on Sunday, it's 1 against 39, and we got to get the best finish we can for our prospective teams.
All right, we'll go to Mark and then Bob.
Mark Garrow, PRN. Matt, just sort of following up on that, how hard is it to balance your competitive nature, wanting to be a good teammate, and also at some point having to be selfish for yourself and your own team?
It's not very hard. I think that being a good teammate is, working as hard as you can during the week, working hard during practice, sharing, what you learn throughout practice, good and bad, sharing information on the car, trying to help each other and all that. We all realize on Sundays that's what the sport was built on is, one guy racing against everybody else and trying to win. So I think we all realize that, but the world's changing too. All the organizations are big. Everybody has different affiliations. Even heard Kyle wanting another Chevy driver to win. So obviously it's a lot different than it was, even 15 years ago or 20 years ago or 30 years ago. It's way different than what it was then, but it's different for everybody.
All right, we'll go to Bob and then Wolfgang and Daniel.
Bob Parker, ESPN. You talk about the difference. Is it more difficult to kind of manage teammate relationships with this format?
Well, the format has brought up certainly a lot of different scenarios. It's not quite as cut and dried probably as maybe when it first came out, where everybody thought it was just all about winning. There's obviously a lot of things that go on there and a lot of moving pieces. So, I think there's a lot of huge benefits to having good teammates and talented teammates and crew chiefs and all that stuff. The only downfall you can find of it is they're all really, really good, and it's hard to beat them when they're in the same stuff. But I reap the benefits every day of having great teammates and crew chiefs and competitive cars over there.
All right, we'll go to Wolfgang and then Daniel.
Wolfgang Mons, the Rennsport Press Agency in Germany. I have a technical question for you. A couple of months ago, Toyota opened a new European motorsport facility close to Cologne. Is there any involvement engineering-wise from the headquarters, or is everything done by Joe Gibbs only?
From TRD, you mean? Yeah, I mean TRD has a lot of support and is responsible for certainly a lot of our success, from engines to chassis development to aero to everything. So they're a huge part of it.
All right, we'll go to Daniel and then over to our left.
Daniel McFadden, NBC Sports. It was reported that there was a drivers-only meeting with Coach Gibbs earlier this week. How often do you guys have those kinds of meetings, and what did you guys talk about going into the last 3 races this season?
Well, if it was drivers only, I don't know who reported it. It wasn't me. We have meetings every Tuesday, and we have meetings every, depending on race weekend, when we're done with final practice, we all have meetings. So we all get together a lot. We also communicate, besides that, at separate times. But we have meetings every week.
All right, we'll go over to our left.
Rob Albright, PRN. Matt, you had a dominant car at Kansas until you brushed the wall. Same car, different car, and what are the similarities and differences in setup between Kansas and Texas?
I have no idea, and I have no idea, really. I don't know what car we brought. I'd say we were, I don't know if we were dominant at Kansas. I think the first 150, 200 miles, we were really, really good, and the track kind of changed on us a little bit, and some guys got better. Certainly the 4 came on, and a couple other guys got running real fast there, and we got off a little bit, and then like you brought to my attention, reminded me that I got into the wall, and that didn't help anything either. So, the racetrack's a lot different than Kansas. I don't think setups are very similar at all, to be honest with you. They're both 1.5 miles, and I think that's kind of where the similarities end.
All right, additional questions for Matt? All right, Matt, thanks for joining us, and good
You're
luck
welcome.
this weekend. All right, we are now joined by Matt Tift, driver of the number 18 NOS Energy Drink Toyota in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Matt, big news this morning. As Joe Gibbs Racing announced, you'll be running full-time for the team next season. Talk about the opportunity and what it means to you.
Yeah, it's an incredible opportunity. The crazy thing is I remember a couple months ago just coming to Bristol to do the press conference about trying to get back in the car. So it's so cool to be sitting here today and announcing our plans for next year and being full-time. And, the Joe Gibbs Racing organization was so great through everything I went through, and we've had some good runs together, and it's going to be an awesome opportunity to be able to race with them week in and week out. And it'll be my first full season in NASCAR competition. So, it'll definitely be a rewarding thing for me, because I feel like I can grow a lot as a driver with all the, the information JGR gives me, and relying on our teammates, and just that ability to race in and out every week and go contend for the Rookie of the Year, and hopefully end up at Homestead too.
All right, and with that, we'll go ahead and open it up to questions. We'll start with Chris Knight, and then go to Lewis and Daniel.
Chris Knight, GetTrends.com. Matt, I know that you got your Xfinity Series plan set for 2017, but where does that leave your truck program, if at all?
We still haven't figured that one out yet. So we've been working on this, but obviously we've had a great partnership with Red Horse Racing and racing with them tonight, and we'll continue to work that one out.
All right, we'll go to Lewis.
Over here to your right. Louis Frank of Reuters. Forgive me if this is old news, but since your operation, when people break their bones, they get physical therapy. Did you have any regimen post-op, and is there anything that you have to do these days to stay in good shape?
Yeah, it's still a very real thing in my life. Last week I went up for my 8-week checkup, MRIs, and it went well, by the way. So, I still have to do that kind of stuff, and it's still a reminder of the things I have to go through. I have to put we have a really cool sponsor in Surface Sunscreen, but surfers, they have this little rectangle, zinc stick that they put on their nose, but I can put it right on my scar, so it's, it's pretty cool how that works. But, it's amazing to look back and see every month how much it progresses, and it'll continue to do that. But, in the beginning, I had to do a lot of, and still I'll do like brain games, just going online and playing on different websites and just trying to keep my brain active. And they say that's the best thing, is just to keep doing that and keep it healthy that way, just constantly thinking instead of just, watching TV or something.
All right, we'll go to Daniel next.
Daniel McFadden, NBC Sports. Do you know what number you'll be driving next year? And also, what are you gonna have to do in order to get prepared for just the week in, week out, all year long toll that a full-time season could take on a driver?
Yeah, well, first of all, we're still working on the number, and we'll probably have an announcement with that in time to come. Just no timeline on that yet, but yeah, that's something I've thought about as a driver because I haven't done that. The good thing is, the last couple of years I've done about 26 to 30 races a year. They just haven't all been grouped together like the Xfinity schedule has it. So, it'll just be making sure of the off season I get prepared with training and everything, and then just the cool thing about working with JGR and the great thing about them is that they really give me the resources for every week to prepare, with more than enough information for myself and just relying on the relationships I'll have and, with my crew chief as well. Being able to actually race week in, week out and work with my guys every week, that'll be huge. So, I know it's going to be a lot more maybe taxing on me, but, it's what I've always wanted to do. So I'm not going to complain about it.
All right, we'll go to Jim, Stan, and then up front.
Jim Utter, motorsport.com. Matt, the full-time ride, was that something that you guys were talking about before your surgery, or has it kind of developed since then, since you've been able to get out and be competitive again and actually see what you've been able to do on the racetrack?
It's hard to say exactly when it started. When we started this year with the 13 race schedule, in my mind, my job was to go out and perform and show that I could race with my teammates and, learn as much as I could, but with the ultimate goal of hopefully being able to move in a full-time role. And, probably towards the time that it started happening, or that the health issues started to come up, was probably when it first started talking about it, and then obviously this stuff kind of got put on the back burner. So now that we've been able to get back in the car and get some good runs again, that's when we started really seriously talking about it.
All right, we'll go to Stan and then up front.
Matt, Stan Creekmore with Outside the Box. What is the greatest thing you've learned about racing since you returned?
How much I love it. I think I remember in July, probably 2 or 3 weeks after surgery, and it was incredible to me how much my perspective on life had changed because, I remember watching races on TV, and when I first started going through these things and I had to, miss the race for the back issue at Iowa, I was like, man, I really want to be out there. And then I remember sitting at home in July thinking, I have no idea, what my future entails for me. I didn't know if I could drive a street car. I didn't know when that timeline was going to be. I didn't know if I was going to drive a race car this year, next year, whenever. But I just definitely kept the faith in myself that I could get back to that point. That's what kept me motivated the whole time. But without the support of family and friends and that motivation to get back to racing, I don't know how quick my recovery time would have been. And obviously it's different for every person, but I think that when I had to step out of that car and almost had what I loved so much and wanted to do since I was 5 years old taken away from me, it made me appreciate it so much more now that I'm stepping back into that role as a race car driver.
All right, we'll go to Bob next.
Bob Pockris, ESPN. You've been working with a lot of different partners this year, so should we assume that maybe some of your partners are coming with you, and how hard have you been working off the track to secure partnerships to be able to help kind of motivate Gibbs to put you in a car?
Yeah, we're still working with all our partners on finalizing things for next year, and obviously with the biggest thing being with this announcement coming out, it's a lot better sales pitch to those partners that we've been working with and moving forward. So we'll continue those, and we'll continue the sponsorship talks in new ones as well. It's just this is our sport now is an ever-evolving sponsorship cycle, so we're always trying to find new ways and how to bring in new partners and keep the old ones that we have. So we'll keep on working on it through the off season. That'll be our biggest next task after Homestead.
All right, we'll go to Wolfgang and then Daniel.
Wolfgang Monzer from Germany, Rennsport Press Agency. You said earlier, if I understood correctly, you were not sure after your medical treatment if you ever can return to a race car or can drive a private road car. Do you have an emergency plan? I mean, fortunately, it worked out positive for you. But in case not, you have an emergency plan then, or a second plan, in case you could not return to race car?
You know, it's a good question, but I'll say that when I got done with my surgery, it was, I think I went in about 3 o'clock, and I remember about 8 o'clock getting done with it, or the clock said 7:51, and they told me I would be there for 3 or 4 days, just admitted in the hospital. And I got through a lot of things and got eating by midnight that night, and I remember asking the next morning, I asked the nurse for a checklist of what do you need to get out of this hospital. And just wanting to get done with everything, get back to home. And instead of waiting the 3 days, I got out less than 24 hours later from brain surgery. And that motivation that I had ever since then, I never thought in my mind that I wasn't going to do this. It wasn't I thought maybe it's going to take a long time, or I didn't know when the timing would be. But the whole time I was planning on getting back in the car. And that's, it's definitely a very tough thing to go through, and I'm not sure how I would have reacted without having the racing piece of it and being able to help others who are going through that as well. So, it was a very strange and tough process for me to go to, but, I never started looking for different routes to go. I just always wanted to be back in the car.
All right, we'll finish up with Daniel.
First, back in September, which was 2 months after your surgery, you told me that you could still feel your brain rewiring. Is that still the case? And also, how hard was it for you to watch Game 7 of the World Series Wednesday night?
I knew somebody would bring that up. It was, it's definitely interesting how the brain heals and fixes itself. The question earlier about the physical therapy of with normal broken bone compared to your brain, I just had to keep forcing myself to get out and be active and just, even though that doesn't seem to do anything physically, mentally, those new experiences kept on helping my brain heal and ultimately, support itself before I could do something with the adrenaline rush of stepping in a race car. So today, no, not so much. There might be a couple times where it just does it a little bit, but it's, maybe 5%, at most, and that's if it ever does it. So it's pretty much set now. And to your other question, I'm a huge Cleveland sports fan. If anybody knows me, they know that about me. So I went to the ALCS game a week before that, and you know what? They had, I think, 3 or 4 of their best players and pitchers, and Michael Brantley, their outfielder, who was one of our strongest hitters that was out for the whole season. So they got a bunch of guys coming back for the next few years. So I think the Indians are going to get a World Series here pretty soon. So I'm not too worried about it.
All right, Matt, thanks for joining us this weekend, and good luck.
All right, thank you guys.
For now, we are thinking about tonight's race in the trucks. We have some work to do there. Hopefully, we can learn something that we can apply for tomorrow's race in the NASCAR series and put a good race together. This is a good place for me. Obviously, we don't get to race in Mexico, and this is the closest that we get to Mexico. So a lot of family and a lot of friends are coming to the race. So looking forward to have a good run and to have some fun.
Brendan?
You know what? We're in a different situation than Daniel. We had that bad first race, so we could use a win here. It would work. It would go a long ways for us. I've won a few times here in the past, so that seems like ancient history, though. So we gotta work really hard. We got a brand new RCR Chevrolet that they just built for us. So I'm pretty optimistic about that race car, and hopefully we can. If we do 2 solid top 5s, I think we're okay. But it'd be awesome to pull out some of that old magic and not have to worry about it. But I'm not counting on that. We're going to go and drive hard, try to get ourselves a good, solid top 5, and then put ourselves back in position to advance at Phoenix.
All right, and Blake?
Yeah, I mean, it would be absolutely great to win here and lock yourself into Homestead. It takes a lot of pressure off. But I think just doing what we've been doing and being consistent, that's what's got us to where we are right now, being third in points. So, but you can't just ride around. You got guys that are chasing you hard. They're coming with their best stuff. So we've also brought our best stuff. Like Brendan said, we've made some updates to our cars too, and we're really looking forward to see how those work.
All right, we'll go ahead and open it up to questions. We'll start up front with Holly and then go to Jerry.
Holly Kane, NASCAR.com, and really this is for any of you. Does it feel like in the Xfinity Series that this chase is really pretty tight, pretty, who's guess as to who is
I wish it was
possibly the
tighter.
front runner? But I mean, there's no, definite this is the guy type of thing. It doesn't feel like that anyway watching. How do you feel as part of it?
You got to look at the Gibbs cars and say that they're definitely one of the favorites. I mean, they've been the strongest all year, but Elliott Sadler had a 50-point lead or something before the chase started. So you can say that the Gibbs cars, or you can say Elliott Sadler, but really it's anybody's race. We already took out two guys that I think you expected to be in the next round. So anybody. You still got Blake, you still got the Roush cars, you still got everybody still has a chance right now, and that's why I love that the Xfinity Series did it. It still gives 8 guys a chance to win the championship right now.
All right, we'll go to
Yeah.
Jerry. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm agree with what Brendan say. I think it just add a lot of pressure to everyone, and that's normal. When you add pressure to somebody, sometimes you make mistakes, and I'm not talking just about drivers, teams as well, pit crews, everyone. So I think it's something very very cool to see. I think I work well under pressure. But we see in the next few weeks.
And I think it's really tight. You have a 3-race points battle. Things get intense, and anything can happen any one of those races and either put you in or put you out.
All right, we'll go to Jerry and then Bob and Chris.
Jerry Fraley, Dallas Morning News for Daniel. Daniel, pardon my lack of knowledge. Let's see, you got it. Oh, sorry, excuse me. I'm sorry, excuse me. Pardon my lack of knowledge of this, but how big of a story is this in your homeland, the fact that you've got a chance to win a title? Are you up there with, Julio Cesar Chavez or something like that? Is this a huge story for your homeland?
Well, I try to do not look to that because for me, this is just my second year in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. I feel like I'm just starting on this sport, and I feel like I'm still learning a lot every single weekend. I feel like Brendan said, I really feel like we are with one of the best teams right now, maybe the hottest team right now, and that obviously helps a lot. But I'm one of those guys that I just try to do my work, and everything else is going to take care of itself if I do it right. So a lot of people in Mexico is very excited. I had the opportunity to go back to Mexico in our first week off. For the announcement of the sponsor for the NASCAR Mexico Series for next year, and it was just unbelievable surprise for the welcome that I had from the media. It was just unbelievable, crazy, and I was just super excited. They are very excited to see what's going on with us here in the United States in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and for me that's just even more excitement to see a lot of support from people here in the U.S. and from a lot of people in Mexico as well.
Personally, I think you should pay attention. Lots of pressure there, Daniel. Lots of pressure. Lots of added pressure.
All right, we'll go to Bob, Chris, and then Daniel.
Bob Hocker, ESPN. Brendan, you gave kind of a passionate response on Cup drivers in the Xfinity Series a few weeks ago, so I was curious what your thoughts were on the new rules. And Daniel, do you feel like it'll impact the Gibbs Racing program, the fact that Kyle will not be able to run as many races next year?
I said it then, I say it now. I like having them. It's more for these two guys right here than it is for me. I'm in the twilight, so it's not going to affect me so much. I got a ride. I'm driving for Richard Childress. I've got great things, but for these guys, it'll affect them. And I can answer the Gibbs thing. It ain't going to affect them much because they still have, 10 races. They can run each guy every race, so it's not a huge deal. I'm sure specific sponsors might be impacted, but I'm glad they did something. It's going to help Blake Cook a ton. It's going to help Daniel Hemrick a ton. It's going to help a Brandon Jones a ton. So I'm glad they did something because they feel there's a need for it. But, I'm just an old guy that likes to race. I don't care who I'm racing against. I just want to race. So to me, it's glad they did something because it's talked about too much. I think you guys make way too much out of it, and that in turn makes the fans make way too much out of it. But it was something they felt needed adjustment. I'm glad they didn't go as far as some of the rumors I heard, and I think they probably did a decent balance. So the way they balanced the chase and how many races, and they still give guys like Chase and Austin and Ryan and some of these guys a chance to still drive because they don't have the 5 years in yet. So I think that's all good things. I think they did a right thing with it. I just like to race. I don't care who it is.
For me, I'm just trying to learn as much as possible in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and I'm one of those guys that I think that with the Cup guys, it's more difficult to win races and it's more difficult to run in the top 5. But when you are able to do it and when you are able to beat those guys, you feel even better and you learn more as well. So, I really think that it's going to be good a change because we're going to have more opportunities to race in the top 5 and more opportunities to win races. But at the same time, I feel like all that experience from the Cup guys, everyone, Kyle, Matt, Brad, Joey, all these guys, I feel like it's going to be something there maybe some races missing, because for a young driver, it's just very important to try to absorb as much as you can from the big guys. And those guys, they have a lot of years racing and a lot of experience in every single racetrack that we were able to get that from them. And next year is going to be different, but I don't think it's going to be a bad thing for so many drivers.
All right, we'll go to Chris and then Wolfgang.
Chris Knight, catchfence.com. Blake, I want to talk about your beard for a second. I think it's something that you started before the chase, and you've just let it go as you've moved along in the chase. Is it kind of a superstition now for you?
No, I'm not superstitious at all. It was just an excuse to grow a beard. I've always wanted to grow a beard, but you gotta look good and presentable for your sponsors. And I asked Matt, calling, I was like, hey, can I grow a chase beard make the chase? And he said, yeah. And so I'm growing it. I'm ready to shave it, but then again, it's bittersweet because if I shave it, it means I'm out of the chase. So hopefully I don't have to shave it till right before the banquet.
All right, we'll go to
It's a good looking
Wolfgang.
beard, though. I mean,
Thank you.
It grew full. I mean, it's not,
I put some new beard balm in it. I actually combed it this week.
Nice.
Changed it up a little bit.
And I got some teammates that couldn't grow a beard if you paid them all year to try to do it. So it's very nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
Wolfgang and then Stan.
Wolfgang Monser from Germany, Rennsport Press Agency. A question to Blake Koch. Yeah, you have a German name. You pronounce it Koch.
Whatever he said.
Okay. I have a question concerning your team. As far as I know, it's a single-car team, relatively new team. How does you get in contact with these people from Kaulig Racing? And did they have any background before they entered Xfinity Series in motor racing?
Matt Kaulig, the owner of Kaulig Racing, is also the owner of Leaf Filter Gutter Protection. And Leaf Filter's been my sponsor since, they sponsored a Cup car in 2014, and I was asked to drive it, and that's when I met Matt. And then when I went to Xfinity Racing for TriStar, Matt was my full-time primary sponsor. And to be honest, last year after the Charlotte race, he's like, dude, I want to start a race team. And that's literally what he said. And I said, all right, let's do it. And that was like late October, and we got Chris Rice on board. That was a huge asset. He has a lot of relationships, and his idea to have an RCR.
I'm going to tell him you called him huge.
Yeah, not literally huge. But, his idea to have the RCR Alliance is what got us up to speed really quick. And I feel like people are like, well, when are you going to go to a two-car team? Don't you need teammates and all that? I feel like I have great teammates. I feel like Brendan Gaughan's a teammate. Brandon Jones, Ty, lean on Ty a lot. Ty and Austin. So I have a lot of help there. It adds depth to our race team. But then again, we are still a single-car team, and I feel like we're just getting better every single week. We're implementing a new change this week to our race car. I think it's going to benefit us a ton.
All right, we'll finish up with Stan.
Okay, Stan Creekmore with Outside the Box. Middle-aged Mr. Brendan Gaughan. You can remember a time when you tested a car many times before you actually brought it to a race and run it.
Absolutely.
How can you feel this confident about the vehicle you now have since you haven't had that testing?
Did I say I was that confident?
Yes.
I said I was looking forward to it.
He has no choice.
Yeah, exactly. If you come in not confident, think you guys are a bunch of fools, that's not going to work very well. So, you know, I have confidence in the knowledge that our engineering staff has. I feel that, you know, you have to believe in the guys that you have in places. I know Shane Wilson and I together have done a lot of things. I hope that this is the right direction. That's all I can ever say. In the old days, I could say, I hope, go down to Texas World Speedway, spend 2 days, test the hell out of it, know what we needed, and say, yep, it was right, or hey, guess what, that sucked. Nowadays, you have to run it through sim programs and $50 million worth of engineering assets and all these things that they've gone to since they canceled all testing. So as an old guy, I like the fact I don't have to go test all the time. I got kids. It's nice to, well, actually, the last 2 weeks, I wish I could have gone and tested, would have slept. But you know, it's kind of a bummer for like guys like this where they can't go and test like I did. I mean, when I was coming up in the sport, hell, and when we had our team in Vegas, I tested like 45 times one year. You know, I mean, it just, we were able to do it, and that's what made Shane and I good. So now you have to believe in your assets, and RCR has a lot of them, and I'm hoping it's the right direction. But you know, am I confident? I'm confident because I got a great race team. I'm confident we got a lot of Chevrolet help. We got a lot of the right pieces and parts. And I'll tell you after the race how confident I am that it worked.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us today, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.